You're listening to the Rent Roll Radio Show with Sterling Chapman. Hey, Rent Roll Radio listeners, welcome back to the show. As always, I'm your host, Sterling Chapman. Today, we are joined by Tim Kelly with Active Duty Passive Income. Tim, super excited to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I appreciate you having me, dude. It's an honor, truly.
Tim, you have a unique background. Can you please share your story with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I spent 15 and a half years in the Navy and was kind of born and raised right outside of Chicago. That's where all my family still resides and still my favorite city in the world. And I was 21 when I joined the Navy. Ended up just traveling the world, and I was stationed mostly for a long time in the Norfolk, Virginia Beach area. And kind of fast forward to year 8 or 9, I was like, man, I need more than this. This is cool. I love serving. This is great. I get to see a lot of great people and see a lot of cool places around the world, but I wanted something a little bit more. So I just dove into all the different books and things that I was able to learn about personal finance and building wealth. And I just kept seeing a pattern of this real estate investing trend, right? So I was on a deployment in 2014, read a bunch of books. I just saw that I got the real estate bug on that deployment. So I got off that deployment and just did a bunch of research. I spent money on education, mentorship, and coaching. And I just learned everything I possibly could about real estate, how to create wealth, went horizontal across all the different asset classes. And so I tried to dabble a little bit in wholesaling and single family, but that didn't really make sense to me until I really learned a lot about commercial and multifamily investing. So I kind of just gravitated towards that and kind of went vertical and learned and tried to just master that. And the more you kind of hone in and focus on one certain specific asset class, the quicker you'll be able to kind of speak the language and talk to investors and talk to potential partners, talk to brokers with confidence, because you decided to master that. So without any experience or anything, or any knowledge and not even a whole lot of money, I just learned a lot about the commercial and multifamily. And then I quickly just focused on that asset class. And the minute I focused on the asset class, I networked with other people and found other people that were doing the same thing and that were good at that asset class, that were already doing it. And I kind of just started making action steps. And I went after commercial and multifamily kind of right out of the gate. And kind of just started doing apartment communities and mobile home communities. And now we're looking at storage facilities. So, I mean, there's a lot in there. And after the first apartment complex deal, I kind of was on the Bigger Pockets podcast. If you haven't heard of that, it's a great real estate network. And most people that are in real estate have at least heard of it or have not listened to it. And so I was sharing my story, and the co-founder of Active Duty Passive Incredible Community, he called me, he reached out to me. I provided my phone number, and we connected immediately. And now, I'm a co-owner and the VP of education for this really incredible community called Active Duty Passive Income, where we're helping educate other past and present military members on how to just generate passive income and build wealth through real estate investing, and just earning and owning more of America, that they fight, the land that they fight so hard for. So that's a little bit about, my story in business and real estate, man.
Awesome. I love it. I love a lot of things about that story. So was it Eric that reached out to you?
That's right, man. Eric.
We talked the other day. We've had Eric on the show. I love Eric. He's a stand-up dude. And I love y'all's program altogether. I never served in the military or anything, but every time I meet a veteran who's interested, I direct them straight to y'all. I think it's awesome what you do. I love how there's, and as you know, and if you've seen in the being around the industry, there's, educational platforms are a dime a dozen. There's a million of them. But what y'all do, and specifically tailor it towards veterans and have your, special VA loan, special tools to help transition from what is seemingly not, and correct me if I'm wrong, not a very high paying job. But there is so many veterans inside and outside of your program that just flourish in this industry. I don't go anywhere without meeting somebody that is a veteran that's flourishing in this industry. And I just think it's so cool that they can transition into something, so beneficial. So really love what y'all are doing. Really love the whole group, and thank you for your service and everything that you're doing after that.
Dude, yeah, no, I appreciate you sending people over to us, and I appreciate the praise, man. We love working with military and vets, and like you said, we're programmed in a certain way, being in the military. As leaders, that work ethic and teamwork and grit and resilience, all these things translate very well into real estate, right? So it's
Well,
like
into anything. So in my corporate
yeah,
job for a year, I've been saying for a decade, because I've been a sales manager for a long time. So I've hired a lot of people. And I've said for a decade, my favorite two people to hire are athletes and military folks, because their work ethic, their attention to detail, their ability to follow through on processes. It's unmatched. So I mean, it translates well to real estate, but I've seen it translate well in across multiple industries.
no, yeah, it's a great point. Absolutely.
So tell me about the different asset classes. So it sounds like, and I've been keeping up with you guys online, and when I bump into one of y'all at a conference or something, so you started in multifamily, and but then the next thing I knew, you were doing trailer parks, and then the last time I saw Eric, y'all were working on a self storage facility. So direct me through why y'all are going from migrating from one asset class to another, and kind of what that has looked like. Talk me through the
Yeah.
evolution.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, back in 2011, I used my VA loan to just purchase a single family home where I was stationed in the Virginia Beach, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia area. I was stationed there for a while. So, I just used my VA loan to buy a single family home. And I actually had two large bedrooms, and I was house hacking one of them before I even kind of knew what house hacking was. And before I even knew about real estate investing, that anybody could really get into it, and that you could actually leverage your VA loan to start, right? And so, especially when I went on the deployments and stuff, we would rent out the bedroom, and that would cover most of the mortgage. So I started in that, and then kind of when I got the real estate bug, I wasn't immediately attracted to commercial and multifamily. So I try to dive into wholesaling, and single family. I just wasn't really attracted to that. It just seemed like a lot of work to close a lot of different deals. And I know it's actually, dude, it's worked for you. You're killing it, doing the same thing, and now you got
it damn near killed me last night. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of moving parts. I get it,
dude. So yeah. I mean, and I love the idea of multifamily, getting as many doors as you possibly can under one roof. So, did the single family home was house hacking. That I ended up selling that property. When we came here, which I'm in Pensacola, Florida now. That's where my last duty station was, at Naval Air Station, Pensacola. And the minute I got here, I actually just closed on a 4-unit property because I really wanted to take advantage of that house hacking strategy. Just, getting as many doors as you possibly can under one roof. Also, from a residential standpoint, it's 4 doors, and to this day, it's just a very, very highly cash flowing asset in a great neighborhood. And then after that, 6 months later is when I did the first apartment complex. And that's when, cap rates were we were able to still find 8, maybe 9 cap, and that's deals were still out there. Yeah.
But back up a little bit. I feel like you skipped some substantial meat there. One day you're buying a four-plex with the VA loan, and the next day you buy an apartment complex. What is that transition?
Yeah. So before I moved to Pensacola, when I was still in Virginia Beach, that's when I kind of had focus and made the decision, commercial and multifamily, and so when I got my orders, I was about 6 to 7 months out from transferring to Pensacola. I started reaching out to people and finding the people in Pensacola who are already doing commercial multifamily, people that were on Bigger Pockets, and people that were part of the RIA and the Real Estate Investing Association here in Pensacola. So I started connecting with people, phone calls, setting up meetings, and I knew we had to live somewhere. So I was kind of we were traveling back and forth a little bit to find a primary residence, and that's where we ended up just closing on that fourplex, knowing that like apartments and commercial was the goal. That 4-unit property was just because, hey, we're trying to get as many doors as we possibly can under one roof with a residential loan. And we actually didn't use our VA loan for that. We used a 203K FHA loan where we forced a lot of rehab into the loan. And that was an incredible strategy to use. If you haven't heard of that, you could wrap the cost of rehab into your loan. And it was a 150K that we got 4 units that were occupied in a great neighborhood. And we actually put $100,000 of rehab into that. So it was a $250,000 project. The total loan was $250,000, and we only had to put down 3.5% of that, right? With the intentions of moving into 1 unit and rent out the other 3. So we just closed that. We got that rented out, and we were managing that. And then, shortly after that, because I was so focused on commercial multifamily, we found a property manager. I'm like, I don't want to manage anymore. And so at that point, I was already focused on commercial. So while I was doing that 4-unit, we were connecting with brokers and finding investors and promoting within that area. We were the commercial multifamily guys. So I already had my partners because I did all the work after I got my orders, kind of made those connections. So that's why after we bought the fourplex, less than 6 months later, we were able to do the apartment complex because I already had that desire, already had the education, already had the network for the commercial and multifamily deal. So that's how I went from just closing that, the 4-unit property right when we got here to about 6 months later, taking down that apartment complex. Then after that, 6 months later was another mobile home park, and then sky was the limit from there.
How big was that first apartment complex?
42 units in Citronelle, Alabama, which is just north of Mobile, Alabama. Here in Pensacola, it's about an hour from us, and then it was a little north of that.
And you syndicated that?
Yeah. Awesome. It was a 506B, and pretty much 90% of the funds that we used and that we raised was from the local real estate investment association. Because we constantly went there, that's where I got found my partners, and we just told everybody every single month, and we connected people in that group that this is what we were doing, this is what we were offering, this is a great deal, a lot of upside. And so yeah, that first deal was a syndication 506B.
How much did you raise on that?
We only needed to raise like about 400K. I mean, dude, we got back in 2017, we got 42 units for 700,000, and we wrapped 300K, about 350K of rehab costs into the loan. And so we raised about 400K of it in order to secure that loan. And that's all we needed to get that first deal done. I mean, the law of the first deal is incredibly powerful. If you haven't, talked about that, man, that's something that it was super motivating for me when I learned about that.
Yeah, no, for sure. So then you transitioned to a mobile home park. Now, did you move to mobile home parks intentionally? Did you decide you wanted to switch asset classes, or you just found a good deal and that's why you hopped on it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, obviously going back, this is what you initially asked. And back in that time around 2018, still looking for apartments. And that's when we started seeing the cap rates were slowly kind of compressing in apartments, but there was still a lot of opportunities in the mobile home communities. And there were still 9-10 caps in decent markets. Now there's, I mean, if you look at a 10 cap, you're like, all right, what's going on with that? Why? What's the catch? Or it's in a war zone or something like that. But yeah, that's the main trigger why we kind of shifted to the mobile home park concept was because of the cap rates. And we found that there were actually more deals in the markets that we were looking at in mobile home parks than there were apartments. So that's why we kind of made the shift, and we focused on those for a little while. But at the same time, we were still looking for apartments. And ever since then, I've done both apartments and mobile home parks. But yeah, we just wanted to kind of open the gate up a little bit, and there was a lot less competition at that time in mobile home communities, and it just made sense.
Awesome. And then you've since switched to self-storage.
Yeah, I haven't personally been part of a self-storage deal. We actually just looking at one yesterday. There's tons of opportunities out there for that, but this is another asset class that a lot of people are going after, and it's just another way to diversify. Another way, the trends over the last couple of years in storage have been really, really strong, and the outlook is really, really strong. So it's just a very attractive asset class for me personally,
Yeah,
and yeah, we're looking at them.
I get shiny red ball syndrome, and I try and keep myself in check because I'll go in 20 different directions and never really get anywhere. But I do have a special place, and I spend most of my energy on large multifamily and single family. But I do have a special place in my heart for self storage, and would like to evaluate it down the road as like a diversity play based on solely on um, the political environment around evicting tenants from where they live versus nobody really gets emotional about people's stuff, right? Like you never know what's going to evolve around us, and like, oh, hey, we might turn into. I'm in South Louisiana. You're in Florida. We might turn into California and New York, where it takes 9 months to evict a tenant because nobody wants to kick a person out of their house, regardless whether they're paying or not. But I don't think we're ever going to get there with like people's extra junk. But you know what I mean? I don't think that the laws are really going to come up and go, no, you can't throw their crap that's sitting in their extra crap that's sitting in a storage facility out, because they didn't pay. So that to me is one of the strong things leading into that asset class.
Yeah, man. People inherently have, like collecting and just hoarding stuff, and there's a lot of trends, suggesting that people are downsizing in their size of their home, but they're not getting rid of their stuff at the same rate. So they're moving out of the big homes into smaller homes or apartments, but they still have all their stuff. So, they need a place to store it. And, it's just, there's a really strong outlook for self-storage, man. And there's not enough, based on the data, there's just not enough storage and out there. And that's why in cities, there's a lot of permits that are pulled that are new developments for self-storage. And there's also a lot of trends indicating more people are actually using storage because, like I said, they're downsizing and they just need a place for all their stuff because they don't want to get rid of all their stuff, man. People are emotional like that.
Yeah, for sure. So we met in GoBundance, right?
Yep.
So how long have you been a part of that?
Yeah. Man, August of 2020
Oh,
was the Breckenridge event. I went as a guest. One of my good friends and partners, Adam Labar, also another co-owner of Active Duty Passive Income. He had just become a member, and he's like, "Hey, I'm going to this event," and I knew I was going to join. I just didn't, I just didn't make time. And he offered me. He's like, "Hey, you want to come?" And I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm coming and I'm joining. I already knew. So yeah, August of 2020, the Breckenridge summer Breckenridge event is when I officially joined, man, and been part of the tribe ever since. It's been amazing.
awesome. Love to hear that. I just joined, so I hadn't gone to any of these cool events yet, but I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to it. So
Yeah, man.
what is next for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of what the focus is with active duty passive income, and there's so much happening in the community. I mean, education is at our core, and we're educating past and present vets. And on single family, there's an academy and a mastermind, and commercial multifamily, there's an academy and mastermind. But we have a growing mortgage branch inside of our community, and we have a growing insurance company inside of our community, and a growing real estate brokerage, because we need to connect all of our members with professionals, with financial services, because there's too many out there. people who call themselves VA loan experts,
Sure.
or agents that say, "Hey, I'm a VA loan expert," but they don't know anything about investing. They don't do any investing themselves. So we have our own mortgage branch and our own insurance company, our own real estate brokerage, where they actually understand the concept of being a veteran or being in the military, and also having a desire to invest and create wealth. And the Veterans United or the Navy Federal, the USA, they don't educate you. They don't know anything about that or investing. They're just a big time bank, and they don't provide the service and all that. So the goal this year is to get 100,000 people in our Facebook group, and we're on track to hit that. And it's just growing. It's an incredibly resourceful and active group. So there's a lot happening, like within the community. We have our first ADPI conference this year in New Orleans, actually, in October. We're getting
Are civilians
together, so we're excited for that.
Are civilians allowed to attend?
Yeah, I mean, that's we never like turn down people who are supporting the community and that, but yeah, it's just a lot of what we do and what we talk about and the terminology that we use is tailored to veterans and military. But
Sure.
there's a good amount of people who just support what we do or support the military, just want to learn from us, that are part of our programs, for sure.
Awesome. Awesome. What about you personally on the investing side? What's next for you?
Yeah. So I have a handful of, like, I have that four-plex here locally, and I have also a triplex here locally, and I'm in the process of slowly converting those into short-term rentals, one at a time. And the short-term rental market is just incredibly hot. And luckily, I'm still doing deal. We're closing on 92 units next Friday, actually, with another GoBro partner, with another GoBro in San Antonio. So, got to continue doing the commercial and multifamily deals.
Is that
there's a
are
huge,
you working on that with Chris?
yeah, Chris
Yeah.
Salerno, man.
Yeah.
And we so there's a huge market here in the Panhandle, on the Emerald Coast, for vacation rentals, and I'd be silly not to take advantage of it, man. And rents are skyrocketing, property values are skyrocketing, and so many people are learning about how great this area is. And the fourplex and the triplex that I have here are in, like, just probably what I believe would be the best neighborhood in town. So I'm doing that, and I'm going to start self-managing and turn that into some systems and kind of see how that goes. And so that's kind of what I'm focused on in terms of real estate right now. I'm tapping into short-term rental market, as well as just continuing to help close large deals.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was one of the first things I told you when we started messaging was, "Oh, you're in Pensacola. Look, send me some short-term rentals." I think everybody's trying to hop on that cash flow train.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you think about it, it's one of the best ways to increase revenue. Obviously, I'm learning there's a lot of upfront things that need to get set up, and furnishings, and all these other things. And but at the same time, there's an opportunity to improve revenue without having to get another property or something. So you might as well look in what assets you're currently having, maximizing the efficiency of what you currently hold, and looking at the numbers roughly. Even if, like, the average occupancy in this area is like 92 to 96% for short-term rentals. And even if this place is rented out at the average daily rate for like a week and a half or like 2 weeks, man, it just crushes the rent that is coming in. And rents are skyrocketing too. And so that was a hard decision for me, because of all the units, the long-term rents are going up, and it's managed by a third party, and I don't really have to do anything. But I'm looking at and kind of the trade-off of what I would have to trade and versus how much I could generate from each one of these units, man. I mean, there's a significant increase in cash flow that could result in just making at least a couple of them short-term rentals. So I'm kind of going through that, and we're in the season right now. I hope to have it up and running within the next couple of weeks. And between May to September, I mean, the numbers are staggering in terms of the occupancy and the average daily rate in this area. So I'm just testing the waters with it. I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. So, real quick, I want to hop over to our radio round. We just ask 3 questions, help our listeners get to know you a bit better.
Yeah.
The first one is, what's your favorite book?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. And this is tough. This is really tough. So many have been transformational for me. Um, and I'm a big mindset guy. I'm a big, abundance, sort of, mindfulness type of person, because your mindset is everything. Your
Sure.
self-talk and your attitude will translate to your results and how you carry yourself. And so probably one of the biggest, the most influential books for me in terms of all that was probably Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard that book
Sure.
or listened to it, right, I highly recommend the Audible, because David Goggins is just a complete freaking savage. He's a warrior. He's a Navy SEAL, and had a lot of trials and tribulations growing up, a lot of struggles, and dude's incredible. And if you haven't heard of him, you need to just check him out, listen to him. But his book Can't Hurt Me is incredibly influential. But any podcast that he's on, any YouTube video you could search, man, check out David Goggins. It's if you are ever catching yourself making up excuses, man, you listen to him. It's like, all right, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
So you'll just reconsider all the excuses that you're making and start looking at the results and how to just continue growing and push through.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. What's your favorite quote?
Man, one of my favorite quotes is actually from another prior Navy SEAL, Jocko Willink. He said, discipline equals freedom. And I absolutely love that. It's just short, to the point. And if you're able to stay disciplined and dial into your habits and commitments to yourself, and stay disciplined to what you need to do. And most of us know exactly what we need to do. We just got to go do it, right? Sure. So discipline equals freedom. It's probably one of my favorite quotes.
Great. And what's your favorite thing to do outside of work?
Man, I'm very passionate about music and drumming, and I'm actually playing in a local band, and I've been playing drums most of my life, and actually got practice later tonight. Man, I'm gonna go hang out with some of my best friends that I play in a band with, and that's also a way I give back. Man, we actually donate all of our tips to different nonprofits, and it's a way for me to just enjoy what I do. Obviously, I love traveling and scuba diving and doing adventure type stuff. But man, music and drums is definitely my passion.
That's awesome. Yeah. How can our listeners find out more about you, get in touch with you, join your community, invest with you? What's the best way to connect?
So obviously, if you're a vet or you're active duty, you got to check out Active Duty Passive Income. I'm very active in there. Spend a lot of time in there on Facebook. But on Instagram, The Timothy Kelly, LinkedIn, The Timothy Kelly, website, thetimothykelly.com. And if this is resonating with you and you're getting any kind of value out of this, and you want to link up, man, just shoot me a text and we'll just hop on a call, and you could reach me at area code 847-910-9161, man. Shoot me a text and we'll hop on the phone.
Awesome. Tim, thanks for joining us today. I really enjoyed it. I look forward to meeting you in person at the next GoBundance event or commercial real estate conference. But in the meantime, I'll definitely be online keeping up with you on your journey.
Yes, sir. Sterling, likewise, man. Look forward to it. Thanks for having me on, brother.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to the Rent Roll Radio Show, brought to you by Crestworth Capital. We hope you enjoyed the show, and if you did, please hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating and review. You can also visit us at crestworthcapital.com or rentrollradio.com, or follow us on Facebook at Rentroll Radio or at Crestworth Capital. If you would like to reach us, feel free to shoot us an email at info@rentrollradio.com or sterling@crestworthcapital.com. We hope you come back next week to join us on some more of our journey. Until then, happy investing.